Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Suzanne Gundersen from Scream Right Now. I help industry creatives and screenwriters to naturally de-stress, get focused into their creative rhythm and flow, build tremendous confidence, and deepen their emotional worldview into wisdom and truth. That way they can hook every audience. So today's video is a part of my Industry Wisdom Bit series where I'm bringing to you professionals in television and film to share with us one golden nugget of wisdom or advice that they may have in their career. So today we're joined by Tema Staig. Thank you, Tema, so much for being here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Suzanne. So good to see you. I am the executive director of Women in Media. We are an organization for women above and below the line, meaning women at the top who are the directors, producers, writers, and all the women in the crew. So the director of photography, all of her crew, the grips, the electrics, production designer, art department, editors, post-production, everybody in between who's working behind the scenes in the film industry. And our goal is to lift women up between education and networking, meeting the right people. We sometimes get people together with mentors. And we're of course doing the CAMERAderie initiative, which I'll tell you about a little later. We have all kinds of great things that we're doing to get more women above and below the line into the industry and moving up, not just in indie films and indie projects, but also at the studio level. That's our big goal, so we can have sustainable careers.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I've been following your organization for a while and it's just growing, and it's just such a right time for women really to come together and support each other and really get our voices and creativity out there.
Absolutely.
So
and men
yeah.
to, you know, I mean, feminism is good for everybody. So we want men to also be involved. We now have membership for men and male identifying folks as well. So that they can meet all of our amazing crew. I mean, they can anyway, because we have a crew list where they can reach out, but to be really, really involved in our organization. We just love having more, you know, different kinds of energy in our group now.
Wonderful. Well, I know you've got, you know, a long list of experience that you've had in your career, but could you just, you know, narrow it down to just like one golden nugget or one gem of advice that you could share with our audience today?
I can try. I mean, I've been in the industry for a minute. I started as a production designer. Actually, I started as a scenic artist and worked my way up to production design and art direction. But I would say knowing the power of no, right? So understanding that sometimes no means not right now, meaning like if we have a connection, or we meet up for coffee, let's say, and we're wondering if there's something we can work on together. And it's like, oh, well, maybe we didn't gel so much now. It might not mean that like we're never going to talk again. And like, you know, like I should just cancel it. That doesn't work. You shouldn't cancel somebody. But it might mean that there'll be a fit down the line. And that also goes with raising money. I'm raising a fair amount of money in goods and services for our CAMERAderie initiative, where we're going to be making films in the summer, COVID permitting. And we have a lot in the works as well. And it takes, as you can imagine, a very long time to build relationships with our vendor partners, with our, you know, we can't call them investors because we're a nonprofit, but, you know, people who are invested in our mission, who really believe in our mission. So they're more like an emotional investor, but they do, like, they're very powerful, and they have a deep belief in what we're doing. So sometimes when you go to somebody and you ask them for some money or goods or services, they're like, oh, I don't know if it's right for us right now. And it doesn't mean that it won't be right for them down the line. And part of it might be that they need to get to know you better, and they need to see some results from you.
Oh, I like that. Almost as like the no means I might need to get to know you better. So it's kind of like, take that no as a different spelling, like KNOW. Like right. No is I need to know more before I can say yes.
And that's absolutely true. So you take that no to I need to get to know you better. And then it's really about, I think, finding the right time, or making sure that they see the progress that you're making, and that you actually aren't a dilettante. You're not just, that you have some value to offer them, as well as the value that they're going to offer you.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's about that, and sometimes it is a hard no, and you need to learn that too. And that's something that I think comes with practice of being out there and realizing that people sometimes that they really just aren't interested, and that's okay. That means that then like, you weren't a good fit. Don't be mad, just move on, and either bend to them saying no if it's like a professional relationship, and they hold the purse strings or something, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I need to listen to that. And sometimes it means that you need to move on and do something different, or move on to the next person who's going to be the yes, because sometimes you have to get through quite a few no's until you get to that yes, but there's going to be somebody who will eventually really be a good partner for you in whatever the professional endeavor is. And I think that also is true in one's personal life. I think it's really important to know the difference between no, not right now, and no, not ever. And that, I think, can also be very powerful. And that takes time to learn how that works with some people. I mean, clearly, if someone's like, no, you take that to heart. You're like, great, I'm going to move on. But if someone's like,
Hey, I think a hard no like that is a big gift, a big present, because
yeah,
without any kind of enthusiasm or excitement toward you at all, you don't want that person around either. So they just gave you the answer that you maybe even felt from the beginning when you even asked. But take that hard no and move on, like you say. And then for the ones that they say no, and you're not feeling that kind of like, all right, totally go in the opposite direction. Be like, okay, we'll put a pause button on this one, and we'll keep it open and let them get to know me. I love that reframe. That's wonderful.
yeah, definitely. And I think sometimes it brings you to other learning experiences as well.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need to move a little bit outside of what your immediate knowledge base may be, that will bring that no into a yes. So sometimes
Mm.
it means that you just start taking more education in the right direction. I can talk about like Catherine Hardwicke, who I've heard speak about this before. She's a really great director. She did Twilight and Lords of Dogtown and 13. And she was saying that she was a really great production designer even before that. So she really worked her way up and had so much experience before she got to direct. And she kind of did it the right way, in that she, in her time off, she wasn't getting the directing jobs that she wanted. She wasn't getting quite where she wanted to go. So in her spare time, she was taking acting classes, and anytime she had a minute off, she was just learning more about the craft of directing. And that's how she was able to eventually turn those no's into a yes, because she really put in that work
Mm.
to know more about what she needed to know, so that people could find that confidence in her to give her that yes. And I think that's incredibly powerful, to know that sometimes you need to have some more growth. She had made these big movies as a production designer, so you would think it would be a little bit easier, but still she was humble, and she just took improv classes and acting classes and directing classes, and anytime she could.
Yeah, it sounds like she got really well-rounded and was able to,
Mhm.
to know more and become more of a valuable asset to different parts of the business, to be able to offer her skill even
Mhm.
with more focus.
It's
Wow, that's
incredibly admirable, that level of humility, to be like, maybe I need to know a little more about the craft, in a deeper way,
mhm.
so that I can be a really good director.
Well,
And
hopefully it's
and
giving people permission now who are listening to go out and grow more and say, hey, I'm not going to take an acting class. I don't want to go do this, and go do those things and explore and be curious and get more growth going. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't think we're meant to just
absolutely.
be stagnant in what it is that we know. I think that the more well-rounded we are and growing, always growing, is going to bring us into different new places.
I agree. I think that if you're really comfortable in what you do, you're probably going backwards in a way. I think you always need to be learning new things, and learning things you may not have thought you needed to know. I mean, for example, what I do is, as a production designer, is very visual, right? And I have moved into producing through Women in Media. We're producing these 5 films in the summer, COVID permitting, that, you know, I've learned so much as a producer for my production design through all the other crafts. Like we're putting together this 2-day workflow and post-production weekend, which is going to be on February 27th and 28th. And I've had the opportunity to meet these just amazingly talented people. I meet up with them every, like the last couple of months, I've been talking to people who've worked on Selma and Game of Thrones and Mr. Robot. And I mean, these like insanely talented people talking about music supervision, editing, color correction, color design, visual effects. And I feel like my IQ has gone up exponentially learning about a different side of my business and learning what they need to do their jobs really well, and the level of creativity and beauty and storytelling that they can bring if you front load your post-production. Like, this is what I've learned more than anything. You need to talk about your post-production and preparation. Like, they should be a very important part of your prep and your creative prep, not just the technical side where, you know, it's not just, you know, pushing the buttons. It's all about the creative side, but also knowing technically what they're going to need. And then having those creative conversations with them before you get on set, so that you know what they're going to need, what you can do for them. It's like I was talking to Greg Hedgepath, who I believe he's a sound supervisor. He worked on Selma and all these other like really big films. He's a brilliant guy and a super sweetheart. And he was saying that he was working on a show with these older cars, and he knew he was going to be working on it. So he was able to tell the people on set, can you get me some clips of the sound of this car, of the motor? Because it was like a 1930s car, and clearly they don't sound like today's cars. So he was able to get that and tell them to do, like, it's nothing for them to pop off and do that while you're on set, but to go back and have to do that, or to have to create that sound some other way with, you know, Foley or something. It's like, they just saved you a ton of money. Do that.
It sounds like your event that I know is coming up next week at the time of this recording, but maybe people will listen to this years to come and will be long past. But I know
members can see them. Members can log into the website, and then they can see our past events. We have them all, we put them all up there. It's very cool. So
speaking of which, you know, tell us a little bit about how we can find out more about you. What's your website and some of the links? I know we're going to put all that in the description box below, but that wonderful event you mentioned for next week. So just tell us how to find you.
So I can be found on the Women in Media website, womennmedia.com. And I can also be found on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm on Clubhouse, and I'm also on Twitter. So Tema SLS on Twitter, Tema Staig pretty much everywhere else. I do some consulting sometimes as well. So if people need some help, they're welcome to reach out to me as well. And there, you can find my website under my own name, Tema Staig Live.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of what you did today. I know we talked about 1 or 2 or 3 different things even, so I'm sure it's going to be super valuable to the community. So thank you. Oh, definitely. And so everybody who's watching, feel free to pop on over to my website screen right now and download your free ebook of 3 steps to get pitch ready. That way you can get into alignment with you and your script and hook your audience. So thanks everybody for listening today and watching, and we'll see you on the next Industry Wisdom Bits.
Thank you, Suzanne.